Back in 2020, you little Sony reptilian fanboys were screaming, begging for 4K 60p. What kind of loud-ass truck is that, Alex? Anyways, we were thinking, maybe we finally get 10-bit. Can we have 4K 60p with a crop or something? We had no idea that Sony was about to leapfrog themselves and give us 4K 120p. I was like, who would ever use that? But we did use it. We did. It was actually possible to edit the files, and it was just like, what a camera. What a camera. And still to this day, 2 years later, will anybody ever beat it?
All I want is the perfect camera. All I want is the perfect camera.
So we're on the Sony A7S III, of course, 20mm 1.8 at Tony 4. Just for a social experiment on a skateboard. Hopefully I keep getting comments, there's a loud, high pitch. Do you hear it? I don't even hear it. I don't know what y'all are talking about. I'll try to eliminate it, if possible. Not that I care about your baby virgin ears. Can you make the turn? It's turning. It is turning. Oh, wow. So, I just want to talk about the competition and how, like, there's nothing to upgrade to once you have this. For all around, if you take everything into consideration, stabilization, autofocus, the look of the camera, dynamic range, codecs, easy editability. For the last couple of weeks, I've been playing around with the Canon R5C, and I don't know that it's even a better look than the A7S III. Let alone all its problems. Like all these cinema cameras, I had no idea that you couldn't auto expose in any of them. And there's like no custom modes. It's a very different user experience. One that makes this user cry. It hurts to do. You and you're setting up your shot, oh, this is perfect. The shutter speed is 1/80th degree like I learned in video college. Oh, wow. Too bad my shot is so boring that everybody fell asleep. They don't even notice the perfect shutter speed, you assholes. You wouldn't know gold if it kicked you in the dick. Birds. Oh, there were catbirds. Sony didn't latch onto them, though. Due to lacking the animal eye detect, we'll get to you. Oh, boy. So, cinema cameras, you would think, okay, those will give you a better look than the A7S III. Barely. Sometimes. But then the using of the camera, not even close. Like this operates like a regular camera does. Auto everything like we should be. 1080p max. This is the cinema. So while the Canon R5C had some benefits if you like externally power it with a battery source, and then you can finally use the features in the camera. Nice design. Cripple hammers all over that one. It's not an overall better purchase. And it's more money. Now I recently got to test that Fuji X-H2S. It was a bullshit video because I'm in a store with like 700 different lighting sources and colors everywhere flashing. It was the worst review of our times. But we got to see basically what we've known all along, that Fuji is still a glitchy system. They're not polished, they've never been, but that's their thing. They're artsy. They're the kid that went to art school and he's like, look at this amazing painting I made. It's great, but you can't sell it to anybody. There's baby geese. And I'm gonna get them with a 20mm lens. What it's designed for. Hey little buddies. Hey little buddy. Oh my god, look at them. This is the best content ever. I'm sure it's in focus. It could be. In fact, that one is the oldest brother. Oh, and there's another. He's big now. Look at you. This is the same family I've been seeing. Too bad Sony doesn't have animal eye detect. That's a bitch. And I'm not even looking at the screen. I'm just pointing it in the general direction. And this is good. So if you want to be in Fuji's beta testing program, you buy the X-H2S, and then maybe they'll finish it one day with your free advice for them. I don't know. That's like shady business tactics. Like Sony, I've been disappointed that they haven't given any firmware updates. We've got some. We'll get to the latest one in a second. But the fact is, it hasn't needed any. It just functioned perfectly since before launch. I had it pre-launch, thanks to Camera Canada. And it was like perfect. There was nothing you could change. The only thing I would change is that damn custom mode button that I had to touch the thing to turn it. I said bile. Oh boy, I have a brain hemorrhage. And if you're curious about the latest firmware on the Sony A7S III that just came out, we've been begging for animal eye detect and the focus breathing compensation, and the other stupid blocky focus thing. Whoever invented that thing, I'm not saying fire them, but make them eat something bad for lunch. You buy them a weird thing, something that would be served on Fear Factor, basically. So what did we get? We've improved eye detect autofocus. And I was like, oh, thank God. Thank God. Finally, we'll be in focus on a Sony camera for once. The press release said we're listening to our customers, and this is why we've done that. Not one person has... Whoa! It just would have been a soft leaf. I'm a little dramatic. Nobody's ever complained about Sony autofocus. Like, that's the #1 class-leading thing you have. And that's what you updated? The drama was real in that situation. Wow. So, Fuji, how you doing? A little disappointed. I gotta be honest with you. There's hope if they fix things through the firmware, but I can't believe how soft that 240 frames per second was. Hopefully they fix it, because I didn't know this, but after filming I saw that it's 70 megabits per second versus the 20 of the XT4. And I was like, whoa, that's over like 3.5 times as much data. It should be better. That's what I was asking for, either 480 frames per second or a better looking 240. And I would have been okay with that, but they actually made it worse. Just for 4K 120 and hard to edit files, the 422 10-bit, no, you can't edit those. It's a Canon file. I must say though, those new 1.4 primes, even the XT4 was autofocusing good on those. Those are really nice. I like that 18mm 1.4. I think that would be the lens. I thought maybe I would want the 33mm. That's an all-around do-it-all lens. So, good job. Oh, there's the catbird. I hear it. Do you hear it? Ah, they're meowing at us. That is so cute. When it comes to the Olympus OM1, one might come to the conclusion that that's a more enjoyable experience than the XH2S, except for the custom modes in video. That was one thing with the XH2S, it seemed like you could save all the settings in video, thank you so much, but then they put it on the left-hand side of the camera. And it's like, what are you doing? That should be just holding the lens. Who does these things? There's always one little annoying thing. It's like being in a field of strawberries, free, you can eat whatever you want. I do have a pet badger. He scratches whatever tries to pick the berries. I'm sorry about that, but you can eat whatever you want here, free, for the whole summer. Just watch that badger every time. That's a deal breaker. There's so many deal breakers. But when it comes to wildlife, I think the Olympus 240 frames was sharper and better than the Fuji. From what we've seen so far, pre-firmware, pre-savior firmware. I don't know, man, it's just getting around those custom modes. That's the most annoying part. One unique combination that I've just thought of, the Zcam E2 M4 does 4K 160p. It's a micro four thirds mount, 10 megapixels, might have some super high dynamic range. You get yourself the Leica 200mm prime or the 100 to 400, and you put up with this stiff zoom and manual focus riggings. That might be the cinema, but we know it's not gonna auto expose, and it's gonna be a pain in the ass, and you gotta rig it up. You need a monitor. Can you even get an EVF, external EVF? Does that even exist? It all comes back to the Sony A7S III was ahead of its time, and it's better than anything that exists right now, and probably for the next 5 years. 5 years we have to wait to update this thing. Just to add some facts to this otherwise useless video while you buy a Sony Reptilian t-shirt down below. Z9 has no 240p,
It matches most of the specs. It does do 8K 60p RAW, but like barring that, it's heavier, more expensive, bigger. 2 years later, R5C, no auto exposure, in the high frame rates at least. The battery life is shit, no IBIS. Comparing that with this, glory horror? I don't know, man. The R5, no 240p, hard to edit files. Panasonic anything, GH6, you got no autofocus, tiny sensor, tiny little banding, does banding now, little red lines everywhere. Thank you, Spectre Studio guy, for being honest. Olympus OM1 can't match the specs with a smaller stacked sensor. Can't even match the specs. They have so much less work to do with that tiny sensor, and it's stacked. And they can't even lift rocks up to their slave owner. That's bullshit, Olympus. Fuji X-H2S matches the specs on paper, but unreliable autofocus, jerky IBIS, firmware's incoming, possibly, hope on the horizon. It's a faith-based system. You could say Blackmagic cinema camera might be even nicer than this. Is it? Ease of use? No. No IBIS, no autofocus, no auto exposure. Our reptilian overlords have given us just enough to keep happy. They know best for us. They know we don't need too much and we don't deserve it. And that's how it should be. I, for one, respect our alien overlord ancestors, as should you, by buying a shirt down below.
I film in top-down lighting at high noon with an expensive camera thinking I could get a good image. Due to my lack of technique, though, what we're witnessing now is somebody who doesn't know what they're doing. But when it comes to the A7S III, this sensor was designed for perfection. It's not even a stacked sensor. I thought it was this whole time. I was like, haha, suckers, without your stack. It's just so perfectly designed with its megapixels that it can do 4K anything so fast. I bet it could do 4K 240p in a burst. You give us that in the firmware update. I've been crying for good 1080p. That's all I've wanted, and boom, we get like the best 1080p I've ever seen. Almost all my videos are always in 1080p, unless I decide to catalyst browse our way through life. Maybe I'll finish off the video in a catalyst browse. We'll switch to 4K because it destroys the image to a 1080p, so does it match this 1080p image? Let's find out. You know what's hilarious? I didn't even press record when I switched over to Catalyst Browse. I've been talking for 10 minutes. I remember nothing. Oh, there were so many great times, and we'll never get them back, because I'm a moron. The screen just shut off, and I was like, what the? I didn't even press record. Oh, that hurts. It hurts to be me. So, whatever, we're done. Sony A7S III, you're beautiful. Just 2 years ago, you said, you know what? We're here. You dropped the mic. It's like a cinema camera with the usability of the best camera ever. Just ease of use. They dropped that mic, and people are still scrambling to try to pick it up. It's like Thor's hammer down there. Not one company could touch that thing. They burn their hands. They weaken at the knees. Doesn't mean we couldn't use a couple nice firmwares in here. Animal eye detect. I'm just saying. Focus breathing, I don't really care about that. It's a dumb mode, I wouldn't even use it. You're dumb, Sony. I hate you. I'm selling this on eBay. $7. There's baby ducks. Oh, there's like a hawk circling somewhere. I saw a huge ass shadow. The ducks are hiding in the shadows. Oh, wow. I even stopped it down to Tony 1.8. I forgot to tell you that the reason I didn't do that was to let the background into our hearts. And then I didn't. Nothing ended well. After not pressing record, that's the one flaw of the Sony A7S III. You have to press the record button. It doesn't even know that you're talking. It should sense record, sense speech, and just go. You dick. So I'm gonna leave after you buy this camera through my affiliate links, of course, and visit my Amazon shop. Huh? Visit that. 7 people subscribed to me, but they sent me letters of hate, so it wasn't worth the time for their 4 cents per view. Leave me alone, you dickheads.